I'm seeing a lot of creators do a really good job of sharing their imperfections as they're trying and as they're learning. And I think that fear of getting started is like looking like you know what you're talking about, but it's okay to learn as you go. Like it's totally okay to be completely new at something and share that experience, because that's actually going to be way more valuable to a much larger audience. This is such a phenomenal business to start your journey as an entrepreneur. Like it's the lowest barrier to entry. There's very minimal risk, like capital risk, that you have to take on for this. You can be somebody who knows absolutely nothing about content and post to TikTok tomorrow after learning a few small things and go viral. You can get 1 million views on your first video, and like there's no other app that has ever existed that gives you that potential.
Welcome back to Creator Commerce. Today's guest, Conar Fair of One Peak Creative, is proof that creativity really can rewire your life. Conar started out as an electrician, and then in 2019, he and his two best friends walked off the job site and straight into the world of content creation. Within 3 years, their team was creating viral campaigns for brands like Doritos, Hasbro, Expedia, and Fairmont. Their mission is simple but radical. You can get paid to do anything if you learn how to create content. Today, Conar and his team have turned that philosophy into an 8-figure education business, generating $14 million on the Kajabi platform. Let's get into it. Conar, welcome to Creator Commerce.
Thank you so much for having me, Allie.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you. So we always kick off in the same way. I'm going to ask you a question that I ask every guest, which is, how do you describe what you do to someone who is not in our industry?
That is a great question. And I literally had to do this on the airplane this morning.
Really?
On the way here. So I usually start by telling people that I am a digital educator, and they kind of look at me a little bit blankly, like that's a very vague response, obviously. And so from there, I kind of explain that we teach content creation, and from there they ask what that means. And what really seems to click is when I say we teach people how to go viral on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. And then that pretty much anybody can kind of understand.
Wrap their head around. Interesting. So you go from creator educator to content to going viral.
Yeah.
Why do you think that resonates with people?
I mean, like most Americans spend 8 hours a day on their phone, and we are so inundated by content and like immersed in content on a day-to-day that it's just like, it's the language that we all kind of speak now.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. And do you think of yourself, you said creator educator, so you think of yourself as a teacher?
Now I do, which is crazy.
Yeah. What did you think of originally?
I mean, like, it depends how far back we go. I think I'm just an ordinary dude. That's what's crazy. Like, the fact that I'm even here is I'm just an ordinary dude. And now I get to educate people as I learn. Like, I'm always learning as well. So it's fun to be able to, like, learn and educate at the same time.
Totally. Well, we were just talking about this right before we started, but let's go back to the beginning. So you started out as an electrician. We're going to go far back, I guess. How did you make the career leap, and like ultimately what led you to I'm an educator?
Yeah, okay. I'm actually going to go a little bit further back.
Do it.
To give a bit more context. So I grew up on a dairy farm with like a bunch of different siblings from a divorced family. I had step siblings, and I didn't even have high-speed internet until I was like 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so I never would have imagined that I would end up having a content creation education business on the internet. And I think like the one thing that growing up on a farm taught me was just like a really hard work ethic. Mm-hmm. And I understood what it meant to like actually really have to work hard. And my entire family was like very trades oriented. So I was encouraged to get a trade out of high school. When I was in high school, myself and my best friend started a landscaping company. And I would skip class to go do landscaping jobs because I was like, why am I learning about history when I can go make money for fixing people's lawns?
So you were an entrepreneur from the beginning.
Yes. And so we learned a lot about like from that business. We ended up kind of like hiring some of our friends on to do jobs for us. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I can go to a coffee shop and we're making money when I should be at school. And so like that was like my first real foray into business and understanding like how to create a successful business. And so at that time I was transitioning into my trade school for my electrical apprenticeship. Got my first year apprenticeship and I moved up north, like super north BC, Canada. And I worked up there for like a year and made really good money. And then my friend that I started the landscaping company with was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your life? Is this it for you? And I was like, I had to sit and think about it. And I was like, no, definitely. I saw the people around me and I saw like the lifestyle. And I was like, this just isn't the life that I want to live. So he convinced me to start a clothing company with him. So I quit being an electrician and I took out a massive student line of credit to start a clothing company.
Wow.
Terrible business to start. Like,
Why?
It's so expensive. It's really expensive and it relies so heavily on amazing marketing. And I was not a marketer at all at that time. I knew nothing about marketing.
Ironic.
I know. So, cause like now I am a marketer and it's like all I know. But yeah, back then I was just like, it'd be so cool to have a lifestyle brand and clothing brand. I was really into like fashion and I just thought it'd be really fun to have a clothing brand. And so we ended up doing all of our own like custom prints. We tried to do it top tier. Like we wanted really quality product, which we designed before we had any customer base. And so we were ordering like organic bamboo and got our own pattern maker to create our own patterns and like did fully custom streetwear.
Wow.
And I dumped like $30,000 into it. And my best friend and business partner dumped probably $50,000 into it. And
all before you had a single customer?
We had friends who were like, this is cool. And we're like, oh, people will buy this, of course. And so it was a huge learning experience because our friends liked our clothes, but we didn't really know how to market it. But from that is when I started learning how to market. And that company is the reason I actually started my career as an educator, because through doing that, I met my now wife. And we hired her because she was a YouTuber. And we're like, you should do a lookbook for our clothes. This will really like help move the needle for us. We need this.
Yeah, content creation, yeah.
Exactly. And so she really introduced me to the world she was actually going to school for television, film, and broadcast. And I was just like, wait, so you're gonna make videos for a living? And she's like, yeah, that's the plan. And I think in learning that, it really like unlocked something for me. And then when we went to shoot the lookbook in Whistler, I also just like fell in love with her, which was like a kind of a
cherry on top
side note. But yeah, that really got me into content creation, and I had to learn about photography, videography, how to tell a story. And I was really just like really kind of obsessed with it after that. So her and I started a YouTube channel together just for fun.
Cool.
Which ended up growing to like 20,000 subscribers, like way back in the day. This is like 12 years ago.
Oh my gosh. And was it like vlog content?
Yeah, anything. Okay. Like anything and everything. It was
just
like
for you too.
Just like couple content.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that still around?
I'm not gonna plug it because it's so embarrassing. We had to private a bunch of different videos.
It still exists on the internet, but we're
still
not marketing it.
No, you could dig for it and you could find it theoretically. But yeah, so from that, at the time, like I was telling my friends, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. And they were like, how do you make money from YouTube? That's so stupid. It'll never work. And I was talking about how like AdSense and you can monetize your views and you can get brand partnerships, but it was so early on back then that I almost didn't fully know if I believed it either. I was just like, it's a beautiful dream and I would love to do it, but I don't know if it's actually possible. And so after the clothing company kind of like failed, we ended up cutting our losses, and I don't consider it a loss at all because it really just like formed this belief system and principle in me of if you're not winning, you're learning. Like I just don't think that losing is a real thing. And to me, it felt like paying for education. Like it felt like going to the school of life and just like learning really hard lessons that have stuck with me until this day. And it really set me up for my next leap in my career. So I had to go back to make money to working as an electrician again. And in that time, I actually ended up working for this telecom company. And my job was installing cell phone towers. And I had like minimal training, and I would just be like climbing these cell towers and hanging 200 feet above the ground, just like installing antennas. And I didn't like it because it was like dangerous and
tedious, probably
super tedious. And we were in like super remote locations oftentimes. And I knew that this wasn't like what I wanted to continue doing. And what was tough about it is it was like one of those situations that kind of felt like golden handcuffs, because I was like, I'm making really good money again. And in order to really do something that I love, I'm going to have to make a sacrifice and make less money. And so there's this job that came up. I was just like searching I forget what the forum was. It was probably like Craigslist or something back then for jobs. And this job came up for a social media coordinator at an automotive dealership. And I'm like, it's marketing. Like, get me in there.
Yeah.
And I remember I felt like such a phony. I like got a tie and a dress shirt, and I like got all jazzed up for my first interview. And I went in and I interviewed, and I was super nervous, but like they saw my YouTube channel and they were like, you seem in touch with the youth. You are the youth.
We're betting on the youth.
You can probably help us. And I remember having to give a pitch to the founders. It was like this auto group. They owned like 7 or 8 different dealerships up in Canada. The Trotman brothers, they're great. Kind of like my first mentors, I would say.
Oh, I love that.
And they made me do this like pitch deck that was like basically pitching to get my job. So I had this long boardroom table, and I walk in for the first time, and again, just thinking like, this is my 3rd interview now. I'm like, if I do this, like I'm in. And I still just felt like kind of like a phony. I'm like, I know I have to go back and be an electrician, but like, I think I can do this. So I gave my pitch deck, my presentation. They loved it. I got the job. Actually, the moment I found out I got the job, it was the middle of November in Canada, and I was, again, hanging 200 feet above the ground,
in the
pouring
snow.
rain.
Oh,
pouring
God.
rain and like 1 degree, just like cold, icy rain. Winds blowing, and I just like faintly hear my phone ringing, and I'm like always nervous to get it because like if I drop it, my phone's destroyed.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I think this is the call. And I pull it out, and it's the call. And I'm like, did I get it? You got it. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Get me off this tower right now. I'm never coming
I'm
back.
out of here.
And it was really funny because like when I told them that I was leaving, they were like, why? You're making good money. Like, how can we make you stay? And I was like, you can't. Like, it's not about the money. Like, what if we got you a job in the office? Like, you can come work in management. You can work in the office. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I want to be a creator. Like, I really want to be a creator. And so what it looked like for me at the time was taking a pay cut from making $100,000 a year as like, I think I was 22 at the time, to I started at $36,000.
Wow.
So it was a massive pay cut. But for me, I was
Nice.
like, I'm so excited because now I get to actually get paid to learn how to create content better.
Yeah.
And I did that for 2 years, learned so much about video production and just like social media marketing that I was like, okay, I know enough. I'm just going to quit and start my own video production company. And so I did that and ran that pretty successfully with a lot of weird glitches and errors along the way and trials and tribulations until like 6 years ago, when I moved my business to Kelowna, which is the city I live in now, met my business partners, and then we formed what is currently One Peak Creative today.
So good. And how would you describe One Peak Creative in one or 2 sentences?
We empower ordinary people to live extraordinary lives through content creation.
Wow.
That's our mission. And I think it hasn't always been that way. Like when we started out, we were just a video production company. And it's definitely evolved into that through many different kind of events.
Yeah. And what do you think is like maybe an early project or an early signal with One Peak Creative that you felt like, oh, this could actually work, this could turn into something?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a video production company, we're doing really well. I remember our first like 6-figure project that came in was through Expedia. And it was like this last minute opportunity. They're like, hey, we need this campaign shot, but you're going to have to shoot it over New Year's and it's going to be in Hawaii. And that was like, New Year's was like a week away at that time. And I was like, yeah, I'll do literally anything to make this happen. And we actually ended up staying in like a hostel there. And it was just like, I didn't even know there were hostels in Hawaii.
I did not know that either.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we were just like super, super scrappy, doing whatever it took to land these big jobs. And doing that was just like, I feel like that was like my first successful business because we were being paid really well for our time and for our creativity. But we got to a point there where we kind of got boxed in creatively because we were doing these like really beautiful cinematic videos for brands because that's what they wanted. But we had ideas that we wanted to do that we would pitch to them. Like I remember pitching this concept to a mattress company one time because they were like it was at the beginning of like mattresses in a box, you know, how we kind of got to that era as humanity.
Yeah.
And so it was like a new innovative idea. And we were talking about how like you used to do mattresses, and we had this crazy idea about like dragging an old mattress that was like a bag of straw across the desert as like a cowboy on a horse. And we were like really excited because we thought it was a super funny idea. And they thought it was funny too, but they were just like, we don't see, like, you don't have the track record. You've never made anything like this before. And we got that over and over with brands where they're like, oh yeah, it could be good, but like we want you to just like play safe and do this. And so that just got really tiring for us. But again, we were making really good money and we never had a reason to do things differently. So we kind of just like kept doing that until COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, within, like a week, we went from having close to $300,000 in signed contracts to just like losing all of that.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
In a few days.
Overnight, yeah.
And then we weren't able to be on set like this. We weren't able to be in the room with other people. Like everybody just pulled budgets and we were just like, we overnight just don't have a business.
Yeah.
And so we really took that as an opportunity to be like, out of every time there is like a global recession or epidemic, there are a very small percentage of people who come out better for it and businesses who come out better for it. And we really wanted to be one of those businesses. We're like, we're not going to squander this opportunity. We're going to look at this as an opportunity. So what do we want to do? We wanted to be, at the time we were calling it like an influencer agency, like a video agency who were also influencers. And so we came up with this idea called ascension, which is every single day for 30 days straight, we'd lock ourselves in a house together. And every single day we would wake up at like 3 a.m., conceptualize, write, shoot, edit, and release a new ad every day for 30 days straight.
Wow.
So we knew every day at 8 p.m. we were posting a new ad on Instagram.
You had to wake up at 3 a.m. in order to do that by 8 p.m.?
It was so gnarly. Yeah.
Whoa.
It was nuts. Like, and it was just like all day focus work. And then by the time you post, you're just like, okay, I'm going to bed, and then do it all again for 30 days. The first 3 days were pretty cringe. And like, I hate looking back at those videos. They were horrible. And I was honestly terrified about what people would think of me at the time. Cause I'm like, this is like, it's giving bad student film. You know?
What were the ads for?
Just random brands that like inspired us or like we would want to work with. It was kind of like free samples. That's what we were thinking. Like when we can work again, these brands will maybe see this and want to work with us.
That's so interesting too, because I feel like that's pre that trend of like trying to catch brands' attention or people's attention by directing videos towards them.
So something crazy happened in the middle of all of this, like this entire campaign. And that was like TikTok started blowing up. Because before it was like previously Musical.ly, and it was kind of like this silly dance trend app. And as we were doing all of this, we were kind of doing some like behind the scenes content. And we're like, okay, this new TikTok thing is coming out. Let's just like throw a couple things up there and see what happens. And one of the videos we posted was just like what the camera sees versus what I see. And it got like 1 million views.
Oh, wow.
And so for context, the entire campaign that we did, this entire adslation campaign, I think by the end of it, we had like across all 30 videos, still under 1 million views on all 30 of those videos. Our most successful video that we did in that campaign, it got us on the news. It was Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively commented on it. Like, it was massively popular, but it still only got 250,000 views. Like, we had a Hollywood VFX team that helped us produce this video within 24 hours. One of like the best pieces of work we had ever done. I'm still like really proud of what we pulled off in that time. But even with Ryan Reynolds sharing it, commenting on it, Blake Lively being on the news, it got 250,000 views.
Wow.
And so we're like, what are we missing here? Like something doesn't make sense, because this video on TikTok that took us 5 minutes to make got 1 million views.
Yeah.
And so that is like, I think, the moment that probably changed our business forever without actually really realizing that it had changed our business forever.
Like in hindsight, you can see that very clearly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, now talk me through the actual ecosystem of what the business is today then. So you went through this whole, ads kind of 30-day challenge. When did that start to evolve into from a video agency to now we're an education platform?
So that campaign, like in terms of brand trust and just like credibility and notoriety, that went really well for us. So after that, it was one of those situations again where now brands know us for making fun ads that people actually enjoy watching. And we had a bunch of work come from that. Like we got to work with PepsiCo and just like a bunch of like big popular brands and do fun videos. And so I think that was like the beginning of the evolution. And we got back into like video production, and we tried to scale our team to do this type of video production, but we weren't great at managing creatives at that point. And so like we weren't able to scale it super well, and tried going that direction and ended up hiring a bunch of people. And I had to let a bunch of people go as well, which was like still one of the worst days of my career. Having to let people go is just like so tough, especially like we had people move their lives to come live in this city and work for us. And it was just like, we're losing money. Like it's just not working.
The business model isn't sustainable.
It wasn't a sustainable business model. And so that was like a really tough time for us, where we had to like think about, okay, what is this going to look like moving forward? And at that time we were still continuing to just like test this whole TikTok thing. And we came up with a series on TikTok called Honest Ads. And it was basically just like if popular brand ads were honest. And all of those videos were getting like 500,000, 1 million views.
Wow.
And that was like, to us, just a proof of concept to show that there's a formula on TikTok that's very repeatable. And we realized that that was like extremely valuable. And that was when we kind of just like productized that. And we're like, this is something that will be massively applicable.
Totally. And so by productize, you have your course. What other products do you have in that like whole suite?
Yeah. Okay. So it started with the TikTok and Reels creator course.
Okay.
And that has like 150,000 students now, which is
150,000 students.
nutso. I know. It's crazy.
Wow.
From all around the world. It's amazing. We get to see creators in every different language crushing it with the things that we teach.
And that's specifically teaching how to go viral on TikTok.
Yes. Okay. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. People use it for LinkedIn, short form video. Okay. Yes. And so that's like our hero offer. And then from that, we've built a bunch of different courses. We have like Comfy on Cam for people who want to gain confidence speaking on camera and just like in life in general.
Comfy on Cam.
Comfy on Cam.
Cute. I like that name.
We have the Art of Hooks, which is like literally an entire course about the first 5 seconds of your video, because like people think of a hook as just like the thing that you speak or say to the camera, but there's like actually 5 elements of it that are, there's a lot more that you have to think about when you're trying to captivate an audience.
Yeah.
So that's an entire course on its own. And then we have very recently a creator community called the Viral Content Accelerator, where it's a group coaching community where we basically help you find your format. So I think the biggest thing we've realized from teaching these creators is the people who have long-term success in a career as a creator, they find a repeatable format that works for them. So like, I think one of the best examples is Caleb Simpson. Like, how much do you pay for rent in New York City?
Yeah.
That's a format. It's just a question. Every time you change the person, you have different houses, but it's basically just like his way of creating a house tour.
Yeah.
And so what we do in Viral Content Accelerator is help people find their format. And then, so all of that's like organic traffic. We teach people how to get organic traffic. And then we have an entire other part of the business that is paid traffic. So our Video Ad Academy and our landing page blueprint and how to scale ads on Meta. And that's all about like paid traffic for your business.
So how do you think about the life cycle of a customer? Like, that's a lot of products, right? To offer.
So many products.
To pretty much like all similar audiences, right? I know there's probably nuance and niches within those products, but how do you think about the life cycle? Like, do you have an entry point? You said hero offer. I'm assuming what you mean by that is the first offer that they should be buying.
Yes.
And then from there, how do you get them to add on these other products? Is it an ascension ladder? Is it just bundles? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, so now it is. And like, that was a huge, it was a huge learning that we've made over the last like 2.5 years. Because when we started, I think the mistake that we made, most people, when they create their first offer, they don't plan on it necessarily being profitable on the front end. And they have like a high ticket offer on the back end that makes it profitable, which is like a coaching community or just like whatever it is, just a more expensive offer. And so we started with just a low ticket offer just to be like, will this work? And it worked so well that we were like super profitable on the front end that we just like acquired really, really quickly. And then we're just like, how else can we help these people?
Yeah, 150,000 people.
Yeah, so it was like kind of we worked with it on the go and like added an order bump, which was like a posting checklist, which was $15, and then added actually our first upsell was called Content Creator Academy, and that course we actually built before we did the TikTok and Reels course, and it taught people how to basically produce content at like a video production company level, at like
Wow.
an agency level. And so we tried to run that as our first course, and there was just like not the market fit for it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up using that though as an upsell. And a lot of people are like, I do actually want to learn to produce content to a higher level. So it worked really well as an upsell.
Interesting.
And so as we were growing this, acquiring more customers, we just like started building out that ascension. And now we're really focused on like, okay, what exactly does that ascension look like?
Yeah.
Who is the customer? It's just been something that we've really learned over time.
Yeah. Do you regret going in with such a low barrier to entry product?
No,
Not at all.
no.
You think that that is like the key to how you've been able to scale?
Yeah, I mean, our whole background is like making great content. Like we make content that people want to watch,
Yeah.
and at scale. And I think like that's just like our secret sauce.
Yeah.
And so I think that if I were to do it again, like maybe I would have prepared a little bit more. But
Yeah.
I think now that we own an audience of 150,000 people and have so much trust, as we build out this high ticket offer and get people results, like we just have a massive list of people that we own that
Yeah.
we can kind of like say, hey, we taught you this, like we can take you to the next level now.
Yeah. And to your point, you acquired those customers in a really inexpensive fashion. So you're able to scale. The reason why I asked that question is because we get asked all the time at Kajabi, like, how do I price my products? How do I make sure that I'm like getting the value that I'm worth? People are so terrified on both ends to
Yes.
price too high or to price too low. And my bet is always to price lower than you think, because I think it's much easier to raise your price than it is to
Totally.
devalue yourself.
Yeah. And like test it. Test everything.
Yeah.
Like we price tested a lot. Like we launched this product at $97 and we ran it like that fairly successfully for, I want to say like almost the first year, up until the first Black Friday. And we had Black Friday and we're like, okay, let's do 40% off and see like what that looks like. And the economics were actually better. Like hit major scale and we were more profitable from that. So we're like, okay, it's a $58 product. And we just like ran it like that.
Wow.
And we've done a little bit of price testing since, but every time we release a new product, like, so our most recent launch for our viral content accelerator coaching community, we launched that just to our list with no like sales call, touch point, anything like that, as a high ticket at $3,000. And we had a pretty successful launch. We did like 200,000 over a 5-day period, just launching to our list, and learned a lot from it. And I was like, okay, what would it take to kind of make this be able to bring on a sales team to sell this for us? And in order to do that, most people, like high ticket closers, are looking for a product that's like closer to $5,000 because they're going to take 10% commission. It has to be worth it for them. So for the first, like right away, I was like, okay, I'm just going to up the price to like $5,000, which is a huge jump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, I'm just going to test this. I'm going to do like founder calls or founder led sales calls and just get on calls with a ton of people. And I did. And it went well. I sold a bunch of people, like they were really excited, but then they got into the program. And I think being a founder, I have like the vision for something, but where our community wasn't at that point of the vision yet. And so I sold them on something that it's probably kind of at that point now, but they got in and they were like a bit confused. And so what happened is like there was a pretty significant churn right away where people, because we have like a 14-day period where you can cancel. And like 40% of the people I sold were like, after 7 days, they're like, yeah, I really like the vibe in here, but I'm just like, I just don't know if it's like going to be right for me right now.
Interesting.
So I was like, okay, let's pump the brakes on this, figure out why this is happening, how we can get them a better result, make this program better. Because all of the people from launch pricing at 3,000, nobody churned. Like everybody was really, really happy about it. And so it's just a price test, right?
Yeah.
And now we've dropped it back down. We're incorporating more of an evergreen sales model. And it's like, it can continue to evolve forever. Like it's an infinite game, price testing.
It sounds like you run the business with a really like experimental mindset.
Totally. Yeah.
Which I think is super smart. And it's how any other business in the world is run. And so why wouldn't knowledge-based businesses also have that kind of perspective?
Yeah, I think it's scary sometimes to do things like with an experimental mindset because like probably fear of judgment and like
your personal brand is connected to your business as a knowledge entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like I have this level of quality that I'm expected to have. And it's like you don't want to make mistakes, I guess. But I mean, you have to make mistakes to learn.
Yeah, totally. Kind of coming full circle to your story of how you got started, wanting to be a marketer so bad, and now all the way to where you have 150,000 students in one of your programs. Like, what do you feel like was the single thing, or maybe it wasn't a single thing, the things that helped you get smart about entrepreneurship and marketing?
Books.
Really? More than like YouTube videos or?
I mean, like when it comes to like the technical skills, YouTube videos for sure. Like I attribute my career as like a creator to other creators. Like I learned from so many different creators about how to like make videos. But when it comes down to like the actual, I guess just like business experience, just a lot of, so many people have stories of building businesses, and there's just like so many great books out there that all of the information exists for us all to build very successful businesses. And you just have to like find it. Also experience, obviously. Like you have to learn from making mistakes. But a lot of great books.
Like think back to that Connor walking into the boardroom at the auto dealership feeling like, what am I doing here? And now where you're at today.
Yeah. It's
a journey.
It's an insane journey. And it's never linear. People always think that it's going to be like this just like linear thing to success. And it's just like so many peaks and valleys and like 10 steps back. But
yeah, that's why we always say that entrepreneurs, especially ones who build personal brands and digital product-based businesses, they have to have grit.
Yes.
They have to be willing to go through the peaks and the valleys and to be experimental and to learn and to not put, ego into it, but to like be motivated by helping and serving others. That's all a part of this whole ecosystem.
This is such a phenomenal business to start your journey as an entrepreneur. Like it's the lowest barrier to entry. Like having started multiple businesses before this, a landscaping company, a clothing company, it's like there's very minimal risk, like capital risk that you have to take on for this. And it's kind of like a gateway drug into being like a full-on entrepreneur and like wanting to start. Like I constantly just have a million different ideas for businesses now, and like starting to have the opportunity to actually take action on them. And so I think starting an info personal brand, like education business really just gives you, it's a crash course on like builds a business acumen and allows you to have a platform to build literally anything for the rest of your life.
Yeah, totally. And to your point earlier, it doesn't take $30,000 or $50,000.
You can do it for so cheap now.
Yeah, $199 on Kajabi.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really smart. Okay, so you talked a little bit about how your first launch, well, maybe not your first launch, but over time, your course has generated 150,000 students.
Yeah.
Where do you attribute those students to? Like, were they your followers on social? Were they on your email list? Did you go through paid ads? Like, what avenues did you go to acquire those customers?
Yeah, it's funny. I think one of the first people to tell me we would not be able to make a course and it would never work said that our audience is just a bunch of old moms and nobody would buy a course from us. And
Somebody said that to you?
Yeah, and it's funnily enough, they actually legitimately copied our entire course and landing page and are running the same offer now.
Oh my gosh,
That's
because they saw how good it worked with those moms.
Yes, exactly. And so, but like there was truth in that.
Yeah.
Which is like our organic audience at the time, they weren't just old moms. They're a bunch of different incredible people, but they weren't necessarily people who wanted to create content. And so doing an organic launch, we only had an audience at that time of, I want to say like maybe 15,000 people, which like if you're just starting is obviously great.
Yeah.
But they weren't 15,000 people who cared deeply about becoming content creators.
Why do you think they were following you?
Just for our entertaining ads that we were making. Like they were entertained by us.
And how did you know that they were there for entertainment and not for content?
We learned pretty quickly, like launching the offer. But I think just like most of the feedback that we got, people just were there to watch the videos.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my, like so entertaining. I love watching what you guys make. It was just like very clear that we were there providing them entertainment. But what we found was once we unlocked the power of paid ads, it was like, it's genuinely a machine that can turn $1 into $2 at scale, like infinitely. And so that has been our entire business model is like paid ads. We do organic as well now, and it'd be actually really interesting to turn ads off, and we have for like a day because Facebook's gone down or whatever. And we do make organic sales as well. But to get us like really off the ground and scale predictably, it's been Facebook ads.
So I'm sure you probably get the question all the time from knowledge-based entrepreneurs, people who are selling digital products, like, where do I get started with ads? Do you have like a quick entry-level way that you tell them to get off the ground? Because that's a big undertaking for someone who's never done it before. That feels really overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, like the most basic way to start is like understanding how much you can pay to acquire a customer. And so like usually what that comes down to, I mean, if you're just getting started, it's like, what are you selling your product for? How much can you stand to make when somebody makes a purchase? And so like, let's say it's $200, then okay, you can probably afford up to $200 per transaction to spend on ads. And what we usually say is like, try to test that to start, and you should be able to start getting some really good information on whether or not the ad's gonna work. So like, the first test that you can do with Facebook ads is, understanding what cost you can acquire a customer at, and then using that as like a budget set point, and running your first ads. And then when you do, some of the key indicators, I guess, for whether or not it's going to be successful on the creative side is your hook rate, your hold rate, and your click-through rate. So like if you have a solid hook rate and hold rate and click-through rate, then you have a great ad.
Can you just define what those things are?
Yeah, so your hook rate is, you can set it up custom in Meta, but basically how it would be defined is views past 3 seconds. And so our average, which is far above industry average, is like 35% hook rate.
Wow. So 35% of the people watching the ad stay past the first 3
seconds.
Yeah.
So like anything, if you're hooking people in above 20%, you're doing a great job. And then your hold rate is the percentage of people who watch past a certain point in your video. So like it's an indicator of people watching the video all the way through. And that's similar. Like we also are around like between 20 and 30%, which is like a pretty healthy place to be in. And then the click-through rate are the people who are clicking to the next part, like to your offer, like if they're interested in your offer. And so our click-through rate ranges like dependent on the traffic that we get, but is usually around 2.5%, 3%. And we hit like a pretty massive audience of people. So,
and these all cascade down from one another, right? So it's like 25 to 30% of people are staying past the hook.
Yeah.
And then of those, you said 30% are holding.
Yes.
And then of those 2.5%, 3% are clicking.
Yes. Which is like, obviously it's kind of just all about the volume and making sure like the algorithm now does a great job of learning quickly who your audience is. So it's getting people who are interested in your offer. And so the things that you can learn from those 3 metrics is if you have a bad hook rate, you're just not convincing them that you have any value, and you got to figure out the first like 3 to 5 seconds of your video. If you have a bad hold rate, they're losing interest. It means you've hooked them in on a promise and they were excited about that promise, but you're not holding them in because you've either lost their interest or they've lost belief in you as a marketer, and maybe a lost belief in your product's ability to solve their problem. And then if they're not clicking through, so if your click-through rate is very low, they've been hooked, they've watched the video, but then nobody's really clicking through, that means you don't have a strong enough offer or like a clear call to action. And so like those are kind of like the 3 metrics that will tell you if you have good creative or not.
Yeah.
The next component to that is your landing page and how you have your offer structured there. But that's more around like the actual conversion and selling your product. If you're talking just about ads that scale, those kind of creative metrics will give you like a really good reference point.
Yeah, that's such an interesting way. I've never heard someone break it down from an ad perspective like that, because then it really tailors what you need to edit. Like if your click-through rate is really low, but everything else is really high, your offer, like that's an easy adjustment you can make.
Yeah.
Versus if you're not even getting someone to stay past 3 seconds, then like the creative is probably more of the problem. It helps you like diagnose the specific symptoms of what's happening.
Rather than just like, oh, the ad's not working. It's like, what part of the ad isn't working? Why isn't it working? And like on Facebook, you can see a retention graph on the back end. So if there's a spot that's very clear they're falling off, you look back in the video, what am I saying at this second mark? Like why are people falling off here? There's a lot of data that you have to be able to actually dissect your creative.
Do you guys only run video ads, or do you do static ads as well?
We've done some static ads, and when we started, we've had a couple successful static ads, but we just love video. Like it's our strong suit.
It's storytelling.
It's storytelling, and it's like done so. There's no other tool on the planet that allows you to connect with people emotionally at scale like video can.
Yeah, totally. Okay, now kind of within that same vein, but a little bit switching gears, what do you think about the introduction of AI into the content creator space? Like there is so much content out there, whether it's paid or organic, and AI is obviously being injected within that. What are your kind of like, what's your philosophy around that or your stance?
It's evolving. I mean, it's such a polarizing topic, especially in the creative space, like polarizing for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Creative rights, obviously, environmental impact. I've seen a lot of people talking about, even just like existentially.
Yeah.
AI is just like, it's unavoidable though. Like, especially this year has just been like, it's completely changed the way everybody lives and works already. And so for us, it's kind of one of those things. It's like whether we like it or we don't like it, like we have to understand how to use it, because it would just be tremendously irresponsible if we didn't. And so I think for us, it's like, how can we use this in a way that is still very creative and true to like our values of providing value to our audience in a way that is still authentic. And so when it comes to AI content creation, I definitely think that it can be used as a tool, as a storytelling tool, but I don't think it's something that you should ever rely on. The way that we use AI is for not necessarily for ideation, because I think original ideas are very important, but to build out those ideas and to build frameworks around your thoughts. So like if we have a creative concept, it's like, okay, here's my creative concept. How can I like structure this in a way that converts, something along those lines?
Yeah.
But I think where people make a lot of mistakes with AI is just like, write a script for this. Okay, perfect. I'm going to use that verbatim.
Yeah.
And there's so many like AI-isms that are just like very, very obvious.
Yeah.
And you don't think that they're obvious, but they
are.
They really are.
Yeah. And they're going to become more and more obvious as time goes on.
Yeah. And like, I mean, the AI like video generation is obviously getting scary good. And it's crazy to see. We're approaching closer and closer to this whole like dead internet theory.
Yeah.
Even
what is
just
that?
That the majority of the content on the internet isn't going to be human made,
humans,
and people are kind of just going to like opt out of the internet.
Interesting.
But it's like, it's definitely becoming, we were just talking to our makeup artist here, like right before we started this, and she was talking about how she already has like AI fatigue, because you see an AI video and it's like, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much slop.
It's
like
soulless.
It's soulless, and it's like just genuinely slop, and people are already bothered by it.
Yeah.
Like genuinely bothered by it. I'm bothered by it.
Yeah.
And like we tested a couple of different AI ads, and they have performed well and are performing well, because there's a big sector of people who want to learn how to use AI to create.
Yeah.
And so we've used the AI video tools, but it's not something that will continue like relying heavily on.
Yeah.
Like I think that there's something, having a human voice is just becoming more and more important.
Yeah, totally.
And like being able to connect with an audience authentically is like, that's what people are really starting to look more for.
Yeah. So it sounds like you use AI right now for more of the storyboarding concept side of things versus like actual video AI tooling.
Yes.
To produce the content.
Yes. Yeah. So like we ran a couple of different like organic formats and paid formats that were like purely 100% generated with AI, just to see if we could. But we still, when doing those things, we made really creative scripts and had like value in the sense of entertainment, and like didn't just make something for the sake of throwing it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of mentioned this earlier when you were talking about the tests you did on TikTok to see what went viral, and then realizing like, oh, there's like a formula here, and then that formula is what is really valuable, and that's what we can package up and teach. Do you want to share a little bit about what you think that formula is? Maybe like a TLDR of the formula. People can buy your course to get the full version.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's at its core, it's the same thing that humans have been doing since we've existed. And it's really just like storytelling. And the way that every single viral video is structured is there's a hook, and there's a payoff. And in the middle, it's just the value that leads to the payoff. And so we really view organic content creation as like, I like to view it as a sales transaction where you're dealing with all of these viewers, potential viewers, are like customers. And when they land on your video, immediately in the first 3 seconds, like you're making like a sales transaction essentially, because you're making them an offer that's saying, if you give me your time and your attention, which is becoming increasingly valuable, I promise that it will be worth it. And so if you can get really good at doing that and making that promise in the first 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, and then holding that payoff till the very last 3 seconds, you'll be able to produce viral videos consistently. That's a very like consolidated way of saying it, but that at the core is how
Have there been any like niches or specialties that your students have had that you're like, oh, there's no way that this will work, but like it does?
There's so many like random things.
Really?
Like there's like horse jumping. Like I just don't think that there is any type of content that you can't be successful in.
Totally.
Because like it's all interesting. It's all the human experience. And there's so many people who you might think that you have the most niche interests in the world, but like there's never an original thought. Like there's so many people who have already thought the same thing and are interested in the same things as you.
Yeah, that's so true. I like to say this phrase, at least for Kajabi, is like, if you can think it, it's on Kajabi. Like 6-figure business teaching horse ballet, like you said, or like a 7-figure business teaching how to make balloon arches, like the clown school, like any kind of niche or industry that you can think of. Not only can you create viral content around it, but you can also create a digital product around it, which is really fascinating to me.
That is super fascinating.
Yeah. What's one myth that you want to bust about content creation that you just think is not true?
I think a lot of the time people don't start because they feel like they have to be like an expert. And I feel like in today's day and age more than ever, people are eager to learn things with you. Like they're not necessarily looking for somebody who is an expert to teach them. And I'm seeing a lot of creators do a really good job of sharing their imperfections as they're trying and as they're learning. And I think that fear of getting started is like looking like you know what you're talking about, but it's okay to learn as you go. Like it's totally okay to be completely new at something and share that experience, because that's actually going to be way more valuable to a much larger audience.
Yeah, totally. That's an interesting like thread to pull on, because we constantly talk about knowledge-based creators as creators, entrepreneurs, but we also use the term expert. And it's funny how people in this space want to reject the word expert, because exactly what you said, they don't think of themselves as like, oh, I haven't done this the longest, I don't know the most about it. And I actually don't know that that's what I use to define the word expert. And I'm like curious your definition of that. If you truly believe like you don't have to be an expert in something, like what is the difference between, we talked about AI slop and like just putting content out that doesn't have value, versus when someone actually crosses the threshold of like, maybe you're not an expert, but you have authority in something that I would love to learn from.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot to be discussed around that. And it's funny that you're talking about like the verbiage of expert, because as you're saying that, I'm kind of thinking, when I talk to a lot of my students, they don't understand that they are subject matter experts.
Totally.
Like in the thing that they do, all of us are. The things that you do on a day-to-day basis feel very boring to you and mundane, because like it's your day-to-day life. But for somebody else on the other side of the world, you're the most interesting person on earth.
Yeah.
Like you are having an incredible experience. And we just forget that we know that the things that we know are really unique. And it's a loop that I still get caught in all the time. Like I'll go and have conversations and start talking about like CAC to LTV ratios, and people are just like, what are you talking about?
What are you saying?
Yeah, and
totally.
I'm like, right, okay.
Totally.
And like the electrician version of myself didn't know any of this stuff. And like if that version of me saw me today, I would be like, whoa.
What are you saying? You're speaking a different language.
You're speaking a totally different language. But it all just becomes so normalized for us. And I think it's important to kind of like try to view yourself objectively, or like ask for objective opinions from people, because we all have something of value.
Yeah, totally. But I love that, like what you're saying, which is that it's this like tension that exists between defining yourself as an expert, but also always be a student and a learner, because like those two things can coexist. You can have authority, you can teach from that space, you can offer value to people while also still being humble enough to say like, I'm also learning as I go.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Like we want to be the world's favorite content creation education company and like the best in the world at it. And I think it is just like this, it's challenging to think of, because in doing that, part of what comes with that is understanding that we will never be the best. There's always going to be somebody out there who's better at some specialty than you are. You'll never be the best at all of the things, and you probably will never be the best at any one given thing. And I think in accepting that, you're accepting a lifetime of just like learning to get better and just like always improving. And that's kind of just like the mentality that I approach this with. It's like, to become the best, you have to accept the fact that you'll never be the best, which is like a little weird.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. I mean, I guess all of this to sum up, like, what would be your advice to give to experts who are wanting to get started in the content creation space and maybe the digital product space? Like, what would you tell them?
I think first I would like to understand their goal. You know, like what is the end goal that they're looking for? And I think if it's to live an extraordinary life and do the things that they have always dreamed of doing, I would say that like you can do that. Try to solve a unique problem, I would probably say. The best place to start as in this industry, I think, is like looking for a really unique problem that you can solve and that you can solve in a unique way. And if you're doing that, I feel like that's a really great place to start, I guess.
You'll attract the right audience, and you'll have fun doing it. You'll love what you do, but you'll also be able to help people solve that specific thing. I love that. All right, so our last segment on Creator Commerce is this or that. Very self-explanatory, rapid fire, don't think too much. I might ask you questions as follow-ups, but you'll be great.
Okay, cut me off if I get too long-winded.
No, you're going to be fine. Okay, content first or community first?
Content first.
Long form YouTube or short form Reels?
Start with short form.
Why?
I just think that it's the easiest, most minimum viable test for learning to create great content really fast.
Okay, now I'm going to ask a follow-up question that's not on my note cards.
Okay.
Instagram Reels or TikTok?
TikTok. Algorithm is still superior, I think, and I've proved this so many times. You can be somebody who knows absolutely nothing about content and post to TikTok tomorrow after learning a few small things and go viral. You can get 1 million views on your first video, and like there's no other app that has ever existed that gives you that potential.
That was such a confident answer. You didn't even think about it.
Because I've just proven it so many times now that I'm just like,
You're like, it's tested.
Yes.
Well, as a Reels girl, I'm a little bit disappointed to hear that, but I'll take the advice.
Reels gets there. It just takes longer.
Yeah. I always say I get my content 2 weeks later. It's fine. One big launch or daily sales?
Everything's been evergreen for us. I mean, we're just not like launch experts. So I personally love the evergreen approach.
Interesting. I didn't know that you guys have never done like a big launch.
We've done a couple of big launches. And I just like, I prefer the evergreen model.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. 6 figures in brand deals or 6 figures in digital products?
Digital products all day.
Why?
It's just like you have full creative control over a digital product. It's your own.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that creators think brand deals first when they think monetization?
I think it's just intimidating, the idea of building a business. Like a brand deal is safe because it's just like, it's transactional. You're like, I'm going to make, it's an ad. I'm going to make this video. You're going to pay me. And I think that just like feels less risky.
Yeah. Interesting than putting your face and reputation behind a product.
Yeah. A brand, like if you're a creator, I think a brand deal is going to be maybe like an easier start, but like longevity wise, like you're going to get a better ROI if you start working on a digital product.
Yeah, so good. Gut instinct or data?
Gut instinct.
Oh, I'm surprised you said that.
Yeah.
Because you're such a data guy.
I love data, but like initial is always gut.
Yeah.
I like to, and like I have been wrong with gut decisions.
Yeah.
But like that is what will initially guide me, and then let the data speak after. I think like initial gut instinct and then check it with data and be okay being wrong.
Totally. I feel like you just described being a creative entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like it's the tension that exists between those two things.
Totally.
You kind of already answered this earlier, but we'll ask it again. Business books or YouTube videos?
Business books.
Best business book you've ever read?
$100 million offers.
Oh, classic. A good one. Organic reach or paid ads?
Okay. I think that it kind of should be both in an ideal world.
Okay.
Because I think organic reach is incredible because it's free.
Mm-hmm.
I think where it can be challenging is getting conversion.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that there's a world once you are great with organic where you can get conversion from it. But in a perfect world, you have organic reach to build trust and build brand and provide value. And then you have paid ads that you know are going to convert at scale at a certain CPA.
Okay, so I'm going to push you on this.
Okay.
If you had to choose one for One Peak Creative, you had to turn off the other, what would you choose?
I would go with ads.
You'd go paid ads. Okay. That makes sense from a conversion standpoint. It's a business.
Yeah, because we try to approach ads with an organic mindset still too, where it's like our ads provide entertainment value as well.
Yeah, the one with Meg grabbing the "this is a scam" thing, it literally lives rent free in my brain.
I love that.
I think about it all the time.
I love that so much.
Yeah, so your ads are good.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Creator Commerce. The last thing that we're going to do, if you're ready for it, is we like to leave our audience with a creator assignment. So you can be from anything that we've talked about today or anything that you have historically shared with your audience of one thing you want them to do for the next 3 to 5 days to focus on.
I love this. Okay, yeah. You are going to, if you don't know what your niche is already, decide on what your niche is. Get very specific on what niche you want to create content in. And then once you've done that, you're going to go to viral.guide in your URL, and we have a free 6-step to go viral guide. It's literally just going to walk you through exactly what to do and how to create a video. You're going to start a brand new TikTok account in this specific niche that you have chosen upon, and then you're going to walk through step by step exactly what that guide teaches you, and you're going to post one video and just see what happens.
I love it. So simple.
So simple.
To go viral.
And hopefully it works for you.
Conar, thank you so much for coming in and for having this conversation. It's been so informative, and what you guys have been able to build with One Peak Creative is just really, really impressive. So I'm excited to see how it continues to evolve.
Well, thank you for giving me a platform to speak on, but also a platform to create a business on, because like legitimately without Kajabi, this never ever would have happened. Like it would have been completely impossible, and we love what you guys have built and are building, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Conar gave us some invaluable lessons. One of the frameworks that stood out was the way that he broke down the formula for every viral video: hook, value, and payoff. What was even more unique and insightful was that he likened it to a sales transaction. You're making an offer, and if someone gives you their time and attention, it will be worth it. And at the end of the day, entrepreneurship always comes back to selling. First, you're selling your content, then you're selling your product. So whether it's viral videos or digital products, the ability to sell is what turns ideas into real businesses. Thank you so much to my guest, Conar Fair, but most importantly, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss an episode when they drop. Until next time.